The loudest voice rarely wins. Instead, it's the quiet one with purpose that conquers. Silence is power. When you speak less, people pay more attention. By observing more, you outmaneuver the crowd. In a world addicted to noise, your restraint becomes a weapon. But revealing too much exposes your advantage. True strength lies in silence. True power is felt, not shouted. The question is, will you discipline your voice and sharpen your actions, or will you continue to squander your strength through needless words? The world is already watching. In just a few moments, you'll see how silence can become your secret weapon, helping you win bigger by speaking less and doing more. The power of purposeful silence. Have you ever noticed that the most powerful people in any room are often the ones who speak the least? These individuals listen intently, observe carefully, and when they finally open their mouths, everyone leans in to hear what they have to say. This is no coincidence. This is the power of purposeful silence at work. In a world that celebrates noise and rewards the loudest voices, silence has become a forgotten art. But make no mistake, silence is not the absence of power. It is power itself. The ability to remain quiet when everyone else is clamoring to be heard is a sign of supreme self-restraint and inner strength. Think about the great minds who have shaped our world. Did they rise to prominence by constantly announcing their intentions? No. They worked in focused silence, allowing their results to speak volumes. Purposeful. Silence allows you to conserve your mental energy. Every word you speak costs you something, attention, focus, and energy that could otherwise be directed toward your goals. When you choose to speak less, you automatically create space to do more. This isn't about becoming uncommunicative, it's about becoming intentional with your words and energy. The power of silence extends beyond simply restraining your speech. It involves quieting negative self-talk, silencing excuses, and muting distractions that pull you away from your purpose. When you embrace purposeful silence, you start to hear the whispers of opportunity that are drowned out by constant chatter. You may wonder, how do I harness the power of silence in my own life? The answer is simple yet profound. Begin by listening twice as much as you speak. When in meetings, resist the urge to immediately voice your opinion. Instead, absorb what others are saying, process it fully, and only then if necessary. Offer your wisdom. Notice how people respond differently to your words when they come from a place of thoughtful silence, rather than reactive speech. Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest boxers in history, once said that the fight is won or lost far away from the witnesses in the gym on the road long before he danced under those lights. His most significant victories weren't won with his famous wordplay, but in the silent, grueling hours of training when no one was watching. Embrace the power of purposeful silence. Let your actions crescendo, while your words remain measured and few. Remember, a waterfall makes noise, but the deep ocean is silent, and it is in the ocean's depths where true power lies. Your journey to success begins not with proclamations, but with quiet determination. Start today. Speak less. Listen more. Work diligently in silence, and watch as your results make all the noise you'll ever need. Why silence matters. Have you ever stopped to notice just how noisy your life has become? Not just the audible noise, though there's plenty of that, but the constant barrage of information, opinions, and distractions that flood your mind every waking moment. Endless meetings, incessant chatter, and notifications have created a world where silence is now a rare commodity. This noise isn't just annoying, it's robbing you of your success. When your mind is constantly bombarded with information, it becomes impossible to think deeply, reflect meaningfully, or plan strategically. The noise of modern life has become the greatest thief of your potential. But the problem goes deeper than just productivity. Constant noise affects your ability to make good decisions. When you're always reacting to the latest emergency, responding to the most recent request, or getting pulled into another conversation, you lose the space needed for strategic thinking. The noise crowds out the silence required for wisdom to emerge. John F. Kennedy would regularly schedule thinking time in his presidential calendar, a block of time where he would retreat from the chaos of the Oval Office to reflect and consider the most pressing issues facing the nation. These weren't luxuries. They were necessities for clear-headed leadership. Create physical spaces that invite silence. If it's just a corner of your home where you can sit undisturbed for 15 minutes, having a dedicated place for quiet reflection can transform your thinking. The great industrialist Andrew Carnegie had a special room in his home where he would retreat to think without distraction. This practice significantly contributed to his extraordinary success. Silence matters because it's in silence that crucial mental processes occur. It's in silence that you connect disparate ideas to form innovation. It's in silence that you reflect on your true priorities, rather than simply responding to whatever seems urgent. It's in silence that you can hear your own wisdom, rather than constantly absorbing the opinions of others. The noise of modern life wants to rob you of your greatest asset, your ability to think clearly and act decisively. Don't surrender this power willingly. Fight for silence. Protect it as the precious resource it is, for in a world that seems to value noise above all, the ability to cultivate silence has become a tremendous competitive advantage. Choose silence strategically and watch as your mental clarity, decisiveness, and ultimately your results begin to separate you from the noisy, distracted masses. Observing before acting. Have you ever noticed how the most successful people seldom reveal their hand immediately? They watch, they wait, they observe, and then they act with precision and impact. This is no accident. This is silence used as a strategy, and it's one of the most powerful approaches you can adopt in your quest for achievement. When you enter a new situation, whether it's a business negotiation, a social gathering, or even starting a new job, there's immense pressure to prove yourself immediately, to speak up, to show what you know. But this impulse, while natural, often leads to premature action based on incomplete information. The strategic use of silence gives you the advantage of gathering crucial intelligence before making your move. Consider the chess master who studies the board intently before touching a piece, or the skilled negotiator who allows the other party to speak first, revealing valuable information about their position. This strategic silence isn't passive. It's intensely active, a concentrated gathering of data that will inform more effective action. The great military strategist Sun Tzu understood this principle well when he advised that all warfare is based on deception. By remaining silent about your intentions while carefully observing your competition, you gain a tremendous tactical advantage. This principle applies in business, personal development, and virtually every competitive arena. Mahatma Gandhi, despite being known for his powerful influence, was often silent during critical meetings, speaking only when necessary and with carefully chosen words. This strategic use of silence made his statements all the more impactful when he did choose to speak. So how do you implement this strategy in your own life? Start by approaching new situations with the mindset of an anthropologist. Observe the cultural norms, power dynamics, and unstated rules before asserting yourself in meetings. Practice being the second or third person to speak rather than the first. This allows you to build upon others' ideas from a position of greater understanding. When you enter negotiations, resist the urge to fill uncomfortable silences. Often the person who speaks first in response to silence concedes valuable ground. Train yourself to be comfortable with these quiet moments, using them to observe reactions and gather intelligence. The strategy of silence also applies to how you handle your successes and plans. When you're working toward an important goal, there's often social pressure to announce your intentions publicly. Yet research consistently shows that talking about your plans gives you a premature sense of accomplishment. reducing the likelihood you'll put in the work necessary to actually achieve them. The most determined achievers often work in silence, letting their results speak for themselves when the time is right. Strategic silence gives you the space to observe patterns that others miss, to identify opportunities that remain invisible to those too busy talking, and to act from a position of superior knowledge when the moment is right. It transforms you from a reactive participant into a strategic player who shapes circumstances rather than merely responding to them. Embrace silence as your strategy. Watch more, seek less. Gather intelligence before making your move, and when you do act, do so with the full power of comprehensive understanding behind you. The connection between silence and self-mastery. Have you ever wondered why the truly great masters of any field seem to possess an unusual degree of composure? There is a profound connection between silence and self-mastery that has been recognized by achievers throughout history. When you learn to embrace silence, you begin the journey toward mastering yourself. And self-mastery is the prerequisite for mastering anything else in life. The path to self-mastery begins with self-awareness, and genuine self-awareness emerges only in silence. It's in those quiet moments when you're not performing for others or reacting to external stimuli that you can truly see yourself as you are. Your strengths and weaknesses, your genuine desires and fears, your authentic voice. These reveal themselves not in the noise of social interaction, but in the silence of honest self-reflection. Consider how difficult it is to hear your own thoughts when you're constantly surrounded by the opinions of others. The habit of external noise drowns out the subtle voice of your deeper wisdom. But when you create space for silence, you begin to distinguish between the thoughts that are truly yours and those you've simply absorbed from your environment. This discernment is essential for authentic achievement. The great industrialist Andrew Carnegie practiced daily periods of silence and reflection, which he credited for many of his most important business insights. He understood that the clarity needed for major decisions couldn't emerge amid constant conversation and activity. But the relationship between silence and self-mastery goes beyond just clarity of thought. It extends to emotional self-regulation, perhaps the most crucial skill for long-term success in any endeavor. When you practice sitting with silence, you simultaneously practice sitting with yourself and your emotions without immediately reacting to them. Think about how quickly most people respond when criticized. There's an immediate impulse to defend, to explain, or to counterattack. What if instead you met criticism with momentary silence? This pause, this small space between stimulus and response, is where your power lies. It's in this silence that you can choose your response rather than being driven by automatic reactions. Developing the connection between silence and self-mastery. So how do you develop this connection between silence and self-mastery in your own life? Begin by scheduling regular periods of solitude time when you're completely disconnected from external input. No music, no conversation, just you and your thoughts. This practice, uncomfortable at first, gradually builds your capacity for deep self-awareness. Next practice, the pause, the deliberate insertion of silence before responding to challenging situations. When faced with provocation, train yourself to take 3 deep breaths before speaking. This simple habit creates space for your higher faculties to engage rather than allowing your reptilian brain to drive reactive behavior. The ultimate expression of this connection is the ability to maintain inner silence even amid external chaos. This doesn't mean becoming unresponsive. Rather, it means that your responses emerge from a place of centered awareness rather than triggered reactivity. When you achieve this level of self-mastery, you become virtually unstoppable because circumstances no longer dictate your actions, your aligned purpose does. The silent self-mastery connection creates a powerful upward spiral. As you practice silence, you develop greater self-mastery. As your self-mastery increases, you become more comfortable with silence. This virtuous cycle continues progressively, setting you apart from those who remain slaves to external stimuli and internal impulses. Embrace silence as the pathway to self-mastery. In a world full of reactive individuals, become the responsive one. In a culture of impulsiveness, cultivate deliberate action. Let silence be the forge in which you hammer out your unshakable character. How the quiet mind discovers opportunity. Have you ever had your best idea while taking a shower, going for a walk, or just sitting quietly with your thoughts? This is no coincidence. There's a direct relationship between cultivating a quiet mind and discovering exceptional opportunities that others miss completely. In today's world, why do some people consistently find opportunities where others see nothing? The difference lies not in access to information, but in the ability to process that information in unique ways. And this happens primarily in states of mental quietude, when your mind is constantly buzzing with noise, whether from external sources or your own incessant internal dialogue. You operate in what psychologists call narrow focus mode. This mental state is excellent for executing tasks, but terrible for making connections between disparate ideas or noticing subtle patterns. The quiet mind, by contrast, activates what's known as diffuse thinking, a relaxed mental state, where your brain makes unexpected associations and generates insights that logical thinking cannot produce. Albert Einstein claimed that words and language played practically no role in his mechanism of thought. Instead, he relied on images, feelings, and musical forms, allowing ideas to come in visual and muscular form before translating them into conventional language. This process required long periods of contemplative silence, what might look like doing nothing to an outside observer. So how do you cultivate the quiet mind that discovers hidden opportunities? First, you must recognize that opportunity detection requires a different mental state than opportunity execution. While execution benefits from focus and intensity, discovery thrives in relaxed awareness. Cultivating a quiet mind. Schedule regular periods in your day where you're not trying to accomplish anything specific. Time for your mind to wander and make unexpected connections. Practice what Eastern traditions call mindfulness, the art of being fully present without judgment. This isn't about emptying your mind, but about quieting the constant evaluation and categorization that normally occupies your thinking. When you simply observe without immediately analyzing, you begin to notice subtleties and connections that your analytical mind would typically filter out. Create physical environments that support mental quietude. The constant ping of visual clutter and background noise all tax your brain's processing power, leaving less capacity for the subtle pattern recognition that reveals opportunity. Use strategic incompletion to activate your quiet mind. When working on a complex problem, deliberately step away from it before it's solved. Go for a walk, take a shower, or simply sit quietly. Your subconscious mind continues to work on the problem, often delivering solutions when you least expect them. The quiet mind discovers opportunity because it moves beyond the noise of consensus thinking. When everyone is looking in the same direction, talking about the same trends, chasing the same apparent opportunities, the real breakthroughs lie elsewhere, in the spaces between established categories, in the questions not yet asked, in the problems others have given up on. Cultivate your quiet mind as your greatest competitive advantage. In a world that increasingly automates routine thinking, the premium on creative insight and novel connections will only grow. The opportunities of tomorrow will be discovered not by those who process information the fastest, but by those who can see the patterns that emerge only in silence. Have you ever noticed that the truly strong individuals rarely feel the need to announce their strength? They don't posture, they don't boast. They simply carry themselves with a quiet confidence that speaks volumes. This inner strength doesn't develop through constant self-promotion. It emerges through disciplined silence, a practice that builds mental and emotional fortitude in ways that nothing else can. When most people feel emotional discomfort, anxiety, uncertainty, or frustration, their immediate reaction is to escape that discomfort through distraction. They turn on the television, call a friend, or find some other way to fill the silence, but in doing so, they rob themselves of the very experiences that would build their inner strength. Disciplined silence is about developing the capacity to sit with discomfort without immediately seeking relief. It's about training yourself to face uncertainty without needing immediate answers. It's about building the emotional muscles that will carry you through life's inevitable challenges with dignity and resolve. Consider what happens when you're alone with your thoughts and feelings, with no distractions to dull their intensity. At first, it may feel overwhelming. Your mind races, uncomfortable emotions surface. But if you stay with this experience, if you practice disciplined silence, something remarkable begins to happen. You develop what psychologists call emotional non-reactivity, the ability to experience strong feelings without being controlled by them. Practice maintaining silence in situations where you would normally fill the void with words. When criticized, resist the urge to immediately defend yourself. When praised, resist the impulse to elaborate on your accomplishments. When faced with a problem, resist the temptation to immediately verbalize it to others. These small acts of verbal restraint progressively build your capacity for emotional self-regulation. The practice of disciplined silence also builds your tolerance for ambiguity, your ability to function effectively even when you don't have all the answers, or when the path forward isn't entirely clear. This tolerance is essential for leadership and innovation, both of which require comfort with the unknown. Perhaps most importantly, disciplined silence builds the inner strength to stand alone when necessary. In a world that exerts tremendous pressure to conform, to follow the crowd, to echo popular sentiment, the ability to maintain your center in silence gives you the fortitude to follow your own convictions even when they diverge from mainstream opinion. Vince Lombardi, the legendary football coach, was known for his ability to maintain disciplined silence when necessary, evaluating his players and situations carefully before taking decisive action. This inner strength allowed him to make unpopular but correct decisions that ultimately led to unprecedented success. Building inner strength with discipline and silence. Train yourself to be comfortable in the absence of noise. Develop the fortitude to face your inner world without flinching. Or it is only when you've built this inner strength that your outer actions will carry the power to truly transform your life and the world around you. Action over words. Have you ever met someone who constantly talks about what they're going to do? They have grand plans, impressive goals, and endless explanations about their future success. Yet months and years pass, and these same individuals remain exactly where they started, full of words but empty of results. Then there are those rare individuals who say little about their ambitions, but consistently take action that moves them forward. These are the silent achievers, and they understand a fundamental truth. Real power lies in action, not in words. The world is filled with talkers, but achievement belongs to the doers. When you focus your energy on taking consistent action rather than discussing your intentions, you create momentum that no amount of conversation can generate. This silent approach to achievement serves you in multiple ways, not least by protecting your goals from the subtle sabotage that often comes from premature sharing. Psychology research has consistently shown that talking about your goals triggers a premature sense of completeness. When you receive social acknowledgement for discussing what you intend to do, your brain registers a reward similar to having actually done it. This false sense of progress reduces your motivation to put in the hard work necessary for actual achievement. So how do you become a silent achiever in your own life? Start by adopting a simple rule for every goal you set. Take at least one tangible action before telling anyone about it. This initial step creates real-world momentum and tests your commitment beyond mere words. Next, shift your focus from input to output. Instead of measuring your days by how many meetings you attend or conversations you have, measure them by concrete results produced. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what did I actually create or accomplish today? This output-focused mindset naturally reduces empty talk and increases productive action. Learn to find satisfaction in the doing rather than in discussing the doing. When you derive your sense of progress and accomplishment from actual action, rather than others' reactions to your stated intentions, you free yourself from dependency on external validation. The silent achiever understands that energy follows attention. When you focus your attention on talking about your goals, you direct energy toward verbal expression, rather than tangible creation. By maintaining silence about your intentions, you naturally redirect that energy toward the actions that produce results, creating a silent mastermind alliance. Have you ever wondered why certain individuals seem to accelerate their success, while others with similar talents remain stagnant? Often the difference lies not in their individual capabilities, but in the quality of their associations. The most successful people in any field have mastered the art of creating what we might call a silent mastermind alliance, a carefully selected group of individuals who collectively elevate each other's thinking performance and results. This concept of alliance is different from ordinary networking or casual association. A true mastermind alliance involves a meeting of minds dedicated to a common purpose, where the collective intelligence and energy of the group create something far greater than what any individual could produce alone. And the most powerful of these alliances often operate with a certain quietude, not broadcasting their influence, but steadily amplifying each member's capacity for achievement. The principle behind this phenomenon is simple, yet profound. Thoughts are things. They are energetic, and when the thoughts of two or more minds are coordinated in a spirit of harmony toward a definite purpose, they create a third, more powerful force. This third mind emerges from the alliance and cannot be attributed to any single individual. Walt Disney and his brother Roy created one of the most successful entertainment empires in history. Walt's creative vision combined with Roy's financial acumen produced something neither could have achieved independently. Their partnership, largely conducted without public fanfare, exemplified the power of complementary minds working in harmony toward shared objectives. So how do you create your own silent mastermind alliance? Begin by identifying what specific values and capabilities would complement your own strengths and compensate for your weaknesses. Unlike superficial networking, which often focuses on the quantity of connections, the mastermind principle emphasizes quality and alignment of purpose. Seek individuals who possess not only skills or knowledge you lack, but also the character qualities that support achievement. Integrity, persistence, courage, and disciplined thinking. Remember that a true mastermind alliance involves harmony of purpose, and this harmony becomes impossible with individuals whose core values conflict with your own. Once you've identified potential alliance members, approach them with clarity about the mutual benefits such an association would create. The most powerful alliances are always based on reciprocity. Each member both contributes to and derives value from the relationship. Make explicit what you bring to the table and what specific qualities or capabilities you seek from them.